Hello everyone. Now we will discuss level of recall. So this experiment was done by Russian psychologist Jenchenko. That is what I am able to pronounce. Uh, he said that ki the recall, yani when you are recalling any information from your memory, is dependent on how meaningful connections there are in your memory. Means, if there is a meaningful relationship and you have processed it at like very deeper level, then you will be able to recall the information in a better way, right? So he said that the matter of how a subject interact with the material to be learned and committed to memory was introduced. How a person who learns some information interact with that uh, material is important, right? So if it is encoded by deep meanings, it will be retained in incidental memory and better than encoded by others. So it will be better encoded and recall will be better, right? So what he did is in his experiment, and one more thing, this was the like experiment he published in Russian language, so it was not broadly distributed because like Russian language has limitation, like because no, and English has more wider reach. So initially it was like published in Russian, so it was not like like very widely distributed, right? So what he did is he has taken a series of words like house, window, building, fish, right? And he has taken different group, right? And he has given different instructions to different group to see how like level of processing and meaning of word which is connected to each other is helping the person to recall it better, right? So in first condition, subjects were asked to identify the word whose meaning was different from the first word, like house, window, building, fish. So house and the fish is different from each other. In second condition, he was asked to make a concrete connection between the first word and other words. So house and window, this is closely related because we have window in house, so that was there. In the third condition, the subject were asked to make a logical connection between the first word and one of the other words. So logical, like house and building is the logical, like you have house in a building, right? And when he has given like different instructions to different subjects, and then he asked to recall it after some interrupting task means like he has given some other task to the client. After some time he asked the subjects to recall it. So what he found is subjects form logical connection between the first word and other words. They were like in a better position to recall the target word with greater frequency and then other condition. So where the logical connection was there, like house and building, that was more like recalled than any other word. The subject who has like got the instruction of making logical connection, they were better in they were in better condition to recall these words. So this indicates that the level how you recall those things, we call it the level of recall, as Jenchenko called it, was in a better position to recall the content. So you can say in this condition that if there is a logical connection between like two words, or you can say in material, then you are in a better position to uh, recall it. So this was the Jenchenko's level of recall theory that he published, and you can say this is somehow is a closely related to level of processing also, which is given by Crack and Lockhart, and it is very famous and widely distributed like theory. So this was level of recall theory or model, you can say, that we have discussed in this. So now we are going to discuss level of processing model given by Crack and Lockhart, right? So he said level of processing means how deeply you are processing any information, and better the like level of processing means deeper the level of processing, better the recall. That is what the crux of this model, right? So Crack and Lockhart 1972 level of processing model as a reaction against the boxes in the head scheme in the memory, as in earlier theories like they have talked about. He says that if the data is better processed, means if we have processed any information at deeper level, means we have elaborated it, given meaning to it, then it is better to recall, right? So they take the position that data can be better described by concept of memory based on level of processing. And the general idea is that incoming stimuli are subjected to a series of analysis, starting to shallow sensory analysis and proceeding to deeper, more complex abstract and semantic analysis. So when the information comes to you, so you process it at sensory level. What are the qualities of your material that you are getting from environment, right? And then you try to give the meaning to that, you are making connections into that, what it is, then you processes it at deeper level, and the chances of recall becomes better, right? So that is what all about Crack and Lockhart model. So then if we go at deeper level, like suppose you have a word like house, or you have a word like animal, so now you have, and you are processing it, what is animal, qualities of the animal, and then that is like semantic analysis, like concept that you have. So if you will do the analysis at semantic level, you are making connections, you are like elaborating it, you are understanding it in a better manner, then it is better recalled, है ना? That we call it deeper level of processing, right? So he said at the highest level, the recognized pattern may trigger associations, images, stories on the basis of subject's past experience with the word. So as I said, if you have past experiences with that, you have linked the new information to that thing, and you process this in a better way, it is highly possible that you remember that information for a longer period of time. I know. So, Crack and Lackhod's view is that we are capable of perceiving meaningful level before we analyze information, at a more primitive level. He said a more primitive level means you are just seeing the how big that information is, what are the structure of that information. That is the basic level of analysis. So we can, and he said we can do better level of analysis or processing of the information. So, and level up processing are more spread processing because it involves a lot of things. Highly familiar, meaningful stimuli are more likely to process at deeper level than less meaningful stimuli. So, if the stimuli is more meaningful, like suppose you are in a train and you have seen someone and that matches with someone whom you know, so you will attend that information quickly, and you will analyze that information quickly. If so, that is because you have some past experience with that person, or that features that resembles to that person. So you will analyze that thing at more deeper level, and you make connections, and you will remember it in a better way. So now we are coming to the things that there is like a picture, like the figure है ना. So uh, this indicates what is what is the difference between shallow level of like processing, and what is the deeper level of processes. Suppose there is some material that has been given to someone from proofreading. What proofreading? So for proofreading there is no need to go at deeper level. You have to see is there any mistakes or something like that. So you will just read it, and you have to retain that information for a smaller period of time. So you are not going into the detail or making connections or that kind of thing. So that is a, you can say that thing is like at shallow level you are processing the information. You are reading it, you are just saying just wanted to know if there is a mistake or something like that. Everything is all right at semantic level, you can say, sorry, at a like grammatical level or something like that. And when you are reading it for gist, then what is like you have a lot of information, right? And you are just reading that passage, and you want to know the meaning of that, like you can say uh, that material. So the idea is to understand what is written in that, and and you can understand that thing only when like you know the meaning of that. So then only you can process it. So that is a elaborate rehearsal. You have read a paragraph, and you have find out the meaning of that paragraph, what is important in that, that is your goal. And in proofreading your goal is to just check that paragraph. So that is a maintenance rehearsal. Maintenance rehearsal as means like you only for a few minutes or a few hours, that's it, not hours, actually few minutes only. You have to check the information it is right or not, right? So level of information there is criticism also of this theory. The first criticism is you can say uh, the criticism of this theory is like it seems to say this model seems to say that little more than the meaningful events or remember a mundane conclusion. So they say it is a, the conclusion is the material that is like meaningfully processed, that will be remembered only. And the second one is it is vague and generally untestable. मतलब it is vague, very vague, and you cannot test कि how much level of processing has been done. That is one other thing that is like that is a criticism of this theory. And third one is it is circular, that any event that are well remembered or designated deeply processed with no objective and independent index of depth available. So it is kind of circular thing, like in that any event that are well remembered, that is like you have remembered very well, and or design designated deeply processed, so usko we are saying that it is deeply processed if it is well remembered. And uh, and there is no objective means with facts, and index is available ki with what is like deeply processed. So these are the criticism of, you can say, this uh, level of processing model. So next theory is self-reference effect. Self-reference means when you are referring yourself, right? So that is self-referring effect, right? So suppose something is related to you, so you are more able to uh, recall it, or you can understand it in a more better manner, right? So self-reference effect is, uh, let's read it. New light was set on the level of processing concept when Rogers and Cooper and Cricker 1970 showed that self-reference is more powerful method variable. Using methods similar to the crack and Talving 1975, they asked subject to evaluate the list of 40 adjectives on one of four tasks hypothesized to vary in the depth and semantic richness. Included were structural, phonetic, semantic, and self-reference tasks. So he done a experiment on 40 adjectives, and he has given like instructions based on your like structural, phonetic, semantic, and self-reference task. And he found that self-reference task where you are identifying with yourself, not any structure of that material or your phonetics of that material or semantic meaning of that material, then he found that the recall of self-reference task where you are referring yourself, yani I, me, mine, that kind of thing, is that is high than any other recall. So that is what he found in uh, like they found in his study. So self reference word were recalled best. So that was that, and we call it the narcissistic trait modification. Narcissistic trait, narcissism, if you know, is like when you are only concerned about yourself, your image, your things, yani that is the narcissistic traits. So these are the things that uh, we are calling it narcissistic trait modification. Means you are learning self-reference material. That is why we call it the narcissistic trait modification thing. That is what we say. uh, and then people have done a lot of studies on this thing, but the same thing they have, same laboratory with the result, several laboratory tests found the result being about the same. So similar result they have found, means there are a lot of like recall is better in self-reference material. So it is assumed and argued that self-reference tasks are stored in some special area in the memory system. So they are started talking about this thing. So that may be the one thing. And uh, if we see it, so whether or not it is like a special area is allotted to these kind of memories, but it has been found that there is a lot of space given to this kind of narcissistic traits or learning, you can say. So we don't know special area is denoted or not, but it is sure a lot of brain space is given to this type of memory. So that is what's like self-reference theory. Okay, so now we are going to discuss our last model of this unit, that is connectionist or parallel distributed processing model of memory, uh, Rumelhart and McClelland, right? So, what is this model? This model is, you can say, more recent model, as well as you can say uh, they are like they are saying that there are a lot of like when you recall anything or store anything, there are a lot of connection that you make. So, one more thing that is very important to this model, uh, they are concerned कि that human mind process information sequentially, step by step, means does it process like one information then other sequence wise, right? First one thing, then second, then third, that kind of thing like happens, or it is more sophisticated model system which process lot of information at once. So the second possibility is information in massively distributed mutually interactive parallel system in which various activities are carried out simultaneously through extension and inhibition of neural cells. So they say ki, because we know what is neural cell, we know that our brain cells are the neural cells, and according to this theory, like there are connections, and most connections in different systems. Suppose you are finding out, or you are like recalling some friend's face, so it is not only the face that sequentially you try to find out, but also you will like have memories related with the time that you spent together, how the person has reacted, and how is his or her voice and nature, everything. So everything works simultaneously, just so that you can get a better you will get the better memory thing. So it is not like you are remembering only face, then you are processing his voice and everything. So it is kind of like everything is happening together. So once if someone you are getting some clue on that basis, so it is not sequential, it is simultaneously like information process होती है, तो we process information simultaneously in different systems. So that is what this model says, like parallel distributed processing. That is why we call it parallel distributed. Like parallelly there are a lot of processing is there through neural excitation and inhibition. Neural excitation and inhibition means because we have to pass on the information to one neuron to another neuron, to we want to activate other systems related to that particular memory, in this case like face of a friend or a picture of a friend, so we related to all other things to that friend's face will be activated. So that is activated by inhibitory and excitation. Inhibition means the neuron is like inhibiting something, or exciting means it is exciting, processing some information. So like suppose you have seen face of your friend, and that friend is like your friend is female friend, right? So other information related to male friends will be inhibited, and now you will like process only friends information related to friends which are female, right? And then you specify it more, like which friend, what kind, where she lives, or all those things. So one thing is inhibited, another thing is you can say excited, and then you process the information. So lot of information our brain is capable of processing lot of information at once parallelly, जिसको बोलते हैं. So these PDP models assume that information processing takes place through the interaction of large number of simple process element called units, and each sending excitatory and inhibitory, that signals to the other units, and these units are neurons actually. So that is what this model says. So, the proponent of suggests that the PDP model are concerned with the description of internal structure of larger unit of cognitive activities such as reading, perceiving, perceiving, processing sentences, and so on. The connexionist model attempts to describe memory from not even a finger grained analysis of processing unit, which resembles neurons. Furthermore, the connexionist model is based on the development of law that governs the representation of knowledge in the memory, how it is represented, not only processing. On additional feature of the PDP model of memory is that it is not just a model of memory, it is also a model of action, how our brain function, and the representation of the knowledge, how the action like goes in that like in the brain, or information processing, how it happens, and how the knowledge is represented in the brain. So they are also concerned with that thing also. So these are the basic concepts of parallelly distributed uh, processing, right? Then a fundamental assumption of PDP model is mental process take place through a system of highly interconnected units which takes an activation values of and communicate with other units. So it is like units again, that is a neural activity. So they are highly interconnected. When one thing is activated, and they activate other related things also, right? And there are a lot of like examples are also given in this paragraph that you can, so they are interrelated. You have seen a face, so the what kind of perfume that your friend is using, that is stored somewhere else, then that information that is also activated. What is how is like her voice or height, weight, color, everything. So every information is related to each other. So if one information is activated, other system is also activated in that case. Similarly, in other type of processing also. So that is why we call it a parallel processing model, and it is very interconnected to each other. So these are the few examples that is given on this page. Okay, how it works, how you remember things, and how you process the information, how you represent it. That is what like given in this model. So let's take one example that is given on this page. That a small boy sees many different dogs, each only once and each with different names. So he has seen a lot of dogs with different names. All the dogs have slightly different features. Differently, we know that there are different breeds of the dog. Can be considered as a variation of the prototype dog. So he has a prototype, like we have a prototype. Similarly, the boy have also a prototype. What dog is, that is a prototype. The epitome of the dogness, the boy form a memory of prototypal dog. So he when you say dog, so he has certain things in mind, what dog is, on the basis of the experience with exemplar dogs. As in the case of face, the boy is likely to recognize the prototype dog as a dog even has never seen it. So even if he has not seen the dog, that breed of dog, but he will recognize it. Of course, the boy is not likely to remember the names of the each of the individual dog, though the most recently seen dog may still be in memory. So जो recently देखा है वो याद रहेगा, but he will recognize कि what is dog. If he will see the dog, so he will recognize this is a kind of dog. So that is what prototype. So that in that way we remember there is a proto, that is what is there. So the rationale offered by the connexionist model of the prototype formation in the case of the boy and his dog is that each time the boy sees a dog, a visual pattern of the activation is produced over several of the units in the module, and in contrast the name of the dog produces a reduced pattern of activation, and the combined activation of the all exemplar dogs sum ups to the prototype dog, which may be the stable memory of representation. Thus the model more detailed than presented here seem to account for this form of memory quite nicely. So the thing is, like, when he will see dog, there is a like and stored information created, and there, that is like the boy will create the prototype, and he will be able to recognize as soon as he will see the any other kind of dog, all the like connections will be activated, and he will be able to identify the dog as a dog, right? So this is what connectionist view. Okay, everything is connected. Information is connected. So that is what connectionist view. So with this, like we are done with this unit 4 as well as block 1. So it and here in this unit we have discussed many models related to information processing, basically memory and learning, right? So we'll come up with new block soon.